This is the strategic plan for the year 2025 for the Barre Public Library, presented by Rebecca Orens, Regina Dunkelbarger, and Erin McKay. Executive Summary. The Barre Public Library is a mid-sized library serving a diverse population. The strategic plan for 2025 seeks to make small changes that are going to support this growth in the community. The first goal is creating a bilingual story time and expanding the foreign language collections in the Youth Services departments. The second goal is to update library policies to better meet the needs of the community. The third goal is to refurbish the teen space, which will also allow the teen space to be ADA compliant. The budget for the project is about $18,000.
This is Rebecca Orens, and I will be presenting background on the Barre Public Library. First of all, the Barre Public Library is a fictitious organization inspired by my own tuxedo cat, Barry. Much like the cat Barry, who was born in 2018, the Barre Public Library was established in 2018. It is located in the fake town of Barre Township in Monmouth County, New Jersey. In 2018, the library was established after the suspicious death of a cozy mystery bookstore owner named Paul Bearer. He left his bookstore to Barre Township to be converted into a library. Barre Township has long recognized itself as a diverse community. There is a long-standing history of having community members who speak English as a second language. The most commonly spoken languages in Barre Township are English, Spanish, Portuguese, and Haitian Creole. However, a new diversification is happening within Barre Township, and we are seeing rapid population growth with many new families having young children and teens. This has created a need for the library to make improvements to support the growing number of families and young people in Barre Township. Budget funding for the Barre Public Library comes from multiple avenues. We have the Friends of the Barre Public Library, who fundraise throughout the year, hosting book sales in the fall and the spring to raise money for programming costs and other needs for the library. Additionally, the Barre Public Library has also received grants from the Cultural Council for community programming that promotes and celebrates diversity, inclusion, and learning in the arts and sciences. Barre Township also provides municipal funding to the Barre Public Library. Finally, our full-time staff, 19 members, are currently employed and paid using funds from our late beneficiary, Paul Bearer. Heading into the 2025 year, we still have our funding to employ our 19 full-time staff members from our late beneficiary, giving us excess room in our funds to focus on improving areas in the library as we see it is necessary. Looking back to 2018 at the conception of the Barre Public Library, the teen space was furnished with tables and chairs purchased from the county after a municipal office building closure. At the time, the goal was just to get the library established and opened as quickly as possible. While functional, the furniture is old, unattractive, and does not meet the developmental, physical, and social needs of teenagers. It is now time for the Barre Public Library to focus its time and attention in 2025 on improving this space for our young and diverse community.
As part of our development of our strategic plan, we conducted a SWOT analysis of our organization. We analyzed our internal strengths and weaknesses and also our external opportunities and threats. Internally, our strengths include strong funding sources, staff longevity, bilingual staff, a large library of things collection, and that staff are passionate about our ELL services. Internally, our weaknesses include outdated furniture, few bilingual staff, and our policies are outdated, and our space is not ADA compliant. Externally, opportunities identified include community engagement and outreach, ESL community classes, language learning grants through Cultural Council for staff to learn new languages, and updated furniture in the teen library space to meet the developmental needs of teenagers and include ADA compliant accommodations and spacing. Externally, our threats include younger patrons are checking out fewer books, ebooks and audiobooks are becoming more popular, and this is impacting the use of physical materials, and we have a rapid population growth of new families into the community.
This is Rebecca Orens, and I will be telling you about Barry Public Library's mission and vision statements. Erin, Regina, and I were able to come together on the mission and the vision statements and each put a bit of our collective vision into these very important statements. The mission statement of the Barry Public Library. Barry Public Library's mission is to encourage social engagement, offer imaginative and enriching experiences, educational opportunities, and equitable access to valuable resources to all members of our diverse community. We believe this mission statement fully encompasses what we want from our public library because it's very important to be aware of equity and diversity and inclusion in a community with so many people who speak English as a second language. Barry Public Library's vision statement. Barry Public Library strives to provide equitable access to diverse resources and empower every individual to explore, connect, and thrive. Our goal was to put together a concise vision statement that once again really projected our EDI goals for the Barry Township community loudly and proudly.
BPL's first goal in the strategic planning process was to create a bilingual story time and to expand the foreign language collection in the Youth Services Department. Objective 1 was to create and define the bilingual storytime program guideline to ensure there is adequate coverage in the Youth's Department during the program runtime. To do this, we had to assess what day and time would be most ideal for the program and what materials would be needed. The first action item would be to create the bilingual story time. What does that look like? How would we want us to run the story time, essentially? The assistant children's librarian would be in charge of this, and the program itself would start in June of 2025. We had to decide on a reoccurring weekday based on daily visit statistics, and we planned to pull the last 4 months of stats. We had to take a look at the staff schedule. The head of youth services and the assistant children's librarian had to check to make sure that the department had enough coverage to ensure that the program runtime would work for the department as a whole. We had to create a program that incorporated stories, music, and song in common languages that were spoken in the community. The most frequent languages that we see spoken in the community of Barry Township are Spanish, Portuguese, Haitian Creole, and English. We also had to market the new programming through social media flyers, distribute through the community, and announcements on the library website. For Objective 1, we wanted to have a steady timeline of when certain goals would be completed in order to start the program for June of 2025. Deciding on a recurring weekday should be completed by January 3rd of 2025. Reviewing the staff schedule to ensure that there would be adequate coverage during the program runtime should be completed by February 1st with the head of youth services and the assistant children's librarian. Creating the program itself should be completed by March 1st by the assistant children's librarian with oversight from the head of youth services. And lastly, all of the marketing should be completed and out into the community by May 1st of 2025 to ensure that we have let the community know that this program is going to be starting. One of the more exciting parts of Goal 1 of the strategic plan is to expand the youth services foreign language collection. We hope to purchase books and mixed media to expand the foreign language collection, both in fiction and nonfiction. This would include things like playaways, wonder books, and launch pads, as well as different types of books, and also batteries and charging cords and other items that would be needed to support the devices that we purchase. The hope with this is to encourage language learning and to support the community members that come into the library that are English language learning families. The timeline or action plan for this is a little bit different, but it will also be starting at the beginning of January. Exploring options for purchasing multilingual materials in a variety of formats will be completed by the head of youth services. The hope is to start by January 3rd of 2025 and complete by March 14th. Meeting with the director to establish a budget for the collection development will be taken on by the head of youth services and the assistant children's librarian and the library director. And this meeting should happen before January 15th because the hope is to begin ordering materials for the youth services department by January 30th of 2025. Goal 1 contingency. Trigger staffing issues in the youth department. When creating Goal 1, BPL staff did have concerns about staffing being a potential issue for the bilingual storytime program. Only 2 of our staff are currently bilingual, and these 2 staff would be primarily responsible for running and creating content for this program. In the event that one or both of these staff members is not available, we wanted to make sure that there was a backup plan, that there was something that the staff that was covering would be able to access to still run the program. We didn't want to have to cancel in the event that one of these staff members wasn't available. During discussion, we had decided that a program guideline would be left in a shared drive with a materials list and other supportive items so that staff could efficiently run the program in the event that there was a staff shortage. Another decision that was made was pulling statistics and reviewing the staff schedule to ensure department coverage would not be an issue during the program runtime when one staff had to be out of the space to run the program. The head of youth services and the youth services team also plans to meet to discuss the schedule, program, and coverage to just continuously check in to make sure that this won't be a problem during the program runtime. What we hope is to have this bilingual story time be something that community members can look forward to. Make sure that it is always consistent and that we keep cancellations to a minimum. We want this program to be as successful as possible for our ELL families. We want them to know that we are here to be able to support them in their learning and in their fun and in their exploration.
Hello, it's Rebecca Orens, and I am here to tell you about our strategic plan goal number 2. I have it broken down into 3 objectives. The goal is to update and create policies that serve the diversifying community, and the first objective is to assess current policies for gaps and outdated notions. The second goal of our strategic plan does not just take into account our teen space and our youth services being more diverse. We want to look at our policies as a whole throughout the library staff so we can update outdated policies and write new policies where gaps are seen. The first objective of our second goal will see the inception of the policy committee. The policy committee will have one supervisor and a library from each department, and it will be their responsibility to get together bi-weekly and look at existing policies to identify any gaps or anything that needs to be updated. The policy committee will be done with their preliminary work by March 7th of 2025. At this point, they will have identified all gaps and outdated notions and categorized them and sent them out to each department that they apply to, and that will see us to the next step of this goal. The next objective of this goal will specifically look at updating existing policies. This objective picks up exactly where Objective 1 left off on March 7th of 2025. At this point, each department will have a list of their outdated policies, and they will be able to put their heads together to put together notes or fully written policy updates. At this point, it will get kicked to the library director and supervisor for all revisions, and they will be able to get sent out to the staff with enough time to familiarize themselves with the updates before the new policies come out. And finally, Objective 3 will also pick up where Objective 1 left off on March 7th of 2025. This part of Goal 2 will take longer than Objective 2 did because it involves fully writing new policy for the Barry Public Library. You will see that after March 7th, 2025, instead of asking each department to fully write policies the way they were asked to fully write revisions for the old policies, they're just being asked for ideas that will be sent back to the policy committee. The policy committee will get back together after July 25th, and they will resume their meetings and revise and finalize the verbiage of the brand new policies. At this point, it'll be sent to the library director and supervisors once again to be finalized, and they will go out to the staff at the very end of the year at December 5th, so they will be comfortable with the policies heading into 2026. The greatest strength of Goal 2 could also turn into the greatest liability. The contingency of Goal 2 is discourse among the policy committee. While Barry Public Library leadership recognizes that youth services has been the most impacted by this diversity boom, all policies should be addressed, and there's no need to tear it apart and address it at different years. It should all just be addressed at once. And that's why the policy committee is formed, so there's voices from each department working throughout this process. The full-time staff at the Barry Public Library has a lot of experience ranging from 6 years in the field to 25 years in the field, which means we have different generations of staff who may have different opinions, especially when it comes to change. These differences in opinions regarding Barry Public Library's policies is being intentionally brought together to promote meaningful and productive conversation. However, it would be an oversight from leadership not to recognize this is also a recipe for discourse among staff members. The library manager that leads the policy committee should have the leadership skills to keep all discussions regarding policy moving forward, and any conflicts in conversation should be productive and reach a resolution.
The third goal of our plan is to improve the teen space by replacing the outdated furniture. The first objective includes defining the needs and preferences of the teenagers by forming a focus group of teens who frequent the library. The first step will be to form the group, and then meetings will be conducted as needed with the group to gather their ideas. A summary of those needs and preferences identified by the focus group will be written to help inform purchases and the design. The summary will once completed will be presented to the library administration to get their approval and feedback. The second objective for Goal 3 is to research current design trends and explore options for furniture that meet the needs and preferences for the space. So the teen librarian will be in charge of researching furniture options. The teen librarian will collaborate with the library director to create a design, and then also to determine a budget with the help of the library supervisor. The third objective is to purchase and install new furniture in the teen space by November of 2025 so that the new space is ready for use during the busy holiday season. The first step will be to select and order the furniture, schedule delivery for the beginning of June, prepare the space by removing the old furniture, doing any cleaning or painting that is necessary, and then having the new furniture installed will occur in the beginning of November. The fourth and final goal of our third objective to update the teen space in the library is to market and communicate. We want to showcase our new space by hosting a holiday open house. So the steps involved in this objective are selecting a date for the event, planning and preparing the activities, planning and ordering refreshments. Then we'll need to create and distribute the marketing materials, and of course host the event. These various tasks will be undertaken by the library director, library supervisors, the teen librarian, and the rest of the library staff. In order to ensure that we are able to meet our objectives and goals on time, we are planning ahead to minimize any risks. One possible risk could be the delay in furniture delivery due to supply chains and delivery issues. This is a common occurrence these days. So we have built extra time into the plan timeline so that we can accommodate any delays in delivery, and our open house date will not be determined until we are closer to the completion of our objectives. That way that we can ensure that the space is ready to host our event. The Barre Public Library is very fortunate to have been financially stable from the beginning due to the generous donations of our founder. This means that we are able to complete large projects like this strategic plan because we have the budget available to do so. So for the collection development objective, we estimate that we'll need to spend just under $9,000. In order to develop, create, and implement our ELL program, the estimated cost will be $2,500. The improvements to the teen space, mostly in furniture purchases, is going to cost around $6,500, and we estimate that the marketing expenses will be around $330.
Team reflection. Forming. We were able to get acquainted with one another fairly quickly. We shared our managerial strengths. We were able to determine best meeting times and how to best communicate with one another. We were all very flexible about how that would ebb and flow throughout the process. There were times where we would email, there were times where we would text, and also times where we would have Teams meetings, which was really wonderful. Storming, we determined our workspace, we delegated tasks really efficiently, and we collaborated to ensure cohesion. So typically we would always meet on Wednesdays. There were times where sometimes we had to reschedule, and it was really wonderful because everyone was always on board to figure out the best time for everybody. And then when we did meet for our meetings, we would very frequently create a shared doc and work in that together, make revisions together, and make decisions together. Make comments on the side when we were working independently and revisit them after so that we could make adjustments and have discussions. It was a very cohesive relationship between the three of us to be able to work through this. Norming. We utilized the shared documents, as I had mentioned before, to complete the assigned tasks. We had very frequent communication, whether it was through email, text message, or through our weekly meetings on Teams. And we always had checkpoint goals. So during our meetings, we would have a list of 3 to 4 things that we wanted to accomplish within a set amount of time, and we would all write them down, and those were our goals that we would get done over the course of the next couple of days. And we would always check in to make sure that we were all doing those things and that they were getting done. If somebody needed help with one item, or if someone finished sooner than another, someone would always hop on and help with another piece of the project. It was really wonderful. Performing. We worked asynchronously. We met to ensure the criteria of the project was always met, so we would frequently during our teams meeting review the assignment criteria to make sure that we were hitting all of the correct things that we were supposed to, whether it was formatting or how this assignment was supposed to look through previous peer assignments, and also just through our rubric. We also would finalize the project together and approve it for submission by kind of going through and making sure it looked good to everybody before we submitted. Overall, we had a very cohesive team and the communication was wonderful. We all just had a great working relationship, and that's how we were able to make such a flowing strategic plan. Thank you so much for joining us. This concludes Barry Public Library's 2025 Strategic Plan, created by Rebecca Orens, Regina Dunkelbarger, and Erin McKay.